Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation to speak at the Environmental Equity Colloquium Series. My name is Brenda Coley, and I'm co-executive director of Milwaukee Water Commons. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about who we are. We are a cross-city network that fosters connection, collaboration, and broad community leadership on behalf of our waters. We promote stewardship of equitable access and shared decision-making for our common waters. Our vision is that Milwaukee is a model water city where we all have a stake and a say in the health of our waters, and we all share in their care and benefits. Milwaukee Water Commons wanted to create a community-defined vision for Milwaukee as a model water city. We engaged over 1,300 people in large gatherings, small groups, and one-on-one interviews. And through this process, we created the Water City Agenda, which has 6 initiatives. Those initiatives are blue-green jobs, water equity, drinking water, arts and culture, education and recreation, along with access and green infrastructure. And I'll be talking a little bit today about access in just a few minutes. I want to let you know how we organize. We have frameworks, environmental justice, collective impact, the commons, and community engagement. And we use the Hermes principles in order to organize in our community engagement. We have policy around environmental justice. We host the Environmental Justice Roundtable, the Water Equity Task Force, and a Branch Out Milwaukee, which is the urban tree canopy renewal. We sit on the Governor's Task Force on Climate Change and on the Wisconsin Climate Table. And we also are part of regional groups, including Healing Our Waters and the Midwest Environmental Justice Network. Our understanding of the commons is that cultural and natural resources are accessible to all members of society, air, land, and water, and a habitable earth, and that these things are held in common, not owned privately. So society is made up of 3 parts: the market, which is our economic system, the government, which holds the commons in trust for us, and the stuff, the land, the water. That is how our society is made up. So I'm going to talk a little bit about environmental justice, access, and what that looks like for Milwaukee. One thing I'll say about environmental justice, it's complex and place-based. It's not universally defined. Links environmental sustainability with social justice, which is just really coming to fruition here in Milwaukee. The definition is based in place, time, and perspective. So what's happening in your neighborhood at the time that it's happening in your neighborhood is important. Often explained using examples of environmental injustices. And healthy environment and wellness are respected for all people in future generations, regardless of identity. So in environmental justice, a component of it is health. So I want to unpack the notion of justice for our waterways to better understand and apply the broad concept of EJ to concrete problems and policies. It is just helpful to reflect on what environmental justice requires in a given situation to achieve justice and applying principles of justice and fairness. So I want to talk about the public trust doctrine. And the state of Wisconsin holds all navigable waters in trust for the people of Wisconsin. This is the role of the government to hold the commons in trust for the people. A value is not a matter of politics. And public trust doctrine through the lens of environmental justice is when we apply that, the public trust doctrine to environmental justice, we understand it as an equitable access to use and enjoyment of environmental resources and nature for all people and all parts of the population. And when we're talking about this, we want to really tease out some of the components and what does that mean? So we have 3 components that we talk about that's included in environmental justice. That would be distributed justice, procedural justice, and restorative justice. And I'll take a few minutes to explain what I mean by that. Distributed justice examines how people of color, indigenous individuals with low incomes are benefiting from solutions developed to address problems and the allocations of resources. So the public trust doctrine, which includes lakebed, is about the public use of waterways. So it should be full access. And procedural justice, making and implementing decisions to ensure fair treatment. So that's the process of reviews. Applications should not present a barrier to communities' ability to influence how the public trust doctrine is implemented. We have to have open meetings. We have to have meetings where people know that they're happening and in places and locations that are convenient for the community. And restorative justice talks about understanding how past wrongs and harms have impacted people of color, indigenous people, and individuals with low incomes. And this also is a part of looking at the public trust doctrine. Have there been situations in the city, in the state, where people have not had access to public lands? What we believe to be true, that due to the significant value of lakefront land, developers have sought time after time to commercially develop them. Private rights are subject to pre-existing public rights, and private restaurants, destination restaurants, are incompatible under the public trust doctrine. We object to the development of destination restaurants, bars on lake beds and riverbeds here in Milwaukee. Access to recreation for all people must be understood as a public good and a service. Inequity and water access in Milwaukee are intrinsically linked. Public trust provides a framework to reorientate our understanding of human-built waterways and how we should pay for their upkeep, lake beds as a public commons. So I wanted to thank you for listening to how we think about these things, really unpacking what it would mean to put restaurants at McKinley Beach, more restaurants at Bradford Beach, and how that access is cut off from the community. And the lakefront is one of the places in Milwaukee where you will see a diversity of the community. That's one of the few public spaces that you see that. So I urge us to be thinking about what it would mean to continue to put destination restaurants on this part of the lakefront, which is ours. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you about environmental justice and how it applies to the commons. Thank you very much.